Hello, my name is Mackie. Right.
So, it is time for us to close the book on this mid-season invitational 2024 review. Think of this as the second part to my first part on my last video about the mid-season invitational. But now it's time to flesh out all these things and talk about how we get to a champion, my thoughts about the teams being eliminated and what is next for
Regional matchups and worlds beyond. So, here is what I'm going to do. Instead of just talking about
the teams, the matches, all the kind of stuff, I'm gonna be actually I am gonna talk about the team, but I'm not gonna do the matches. The match is gonna be so long and so congested that it will be like a 2-hour video and nobody will be watching it anyways, except some people, of course. So I'm gonna just do this
brief analysis on some of the teams being eliminated from the 6th place onwards, and then we'll talk about champions and stuff. So let's go to the second week. So I feel like that Team Liquid did fine for an LCS team. They did what an LCS team should do, having low expectations, not doing well, then got absolutely fisted by an LPL team, then everybody giving up on hope. Then you beat an EU team, which is going to give you some hope.
Then you beat a T1 team that looks absolutely fraudulent and worse. More on that later. And that's it. You kind of bombed out.
Now, I'm going to say this right now. I feel like APA and Impact are the only two players that were impressive to me. I think Yon has been but the fact that APA has been performing well,
yes, the guy who types in all chant and trash talk and all that kind of stuff, I think he's been a solid good player, and I think he has been decently fine. I apologize, I wasn't familiar with your game and all that kind of stuff, but I feel like APA did okay.
Impact, we know Impact can be a solid player. He could be a good player sometimes, he could be a bad player sometimes, but he is the most solid player in all of League of Legends, and not just LCS alone.
All of League of Legends, to the point of if you put Impact on your team's top side will get a little bit better, and your team overall will get really good. So I just say overall that I'm just saying that Team Liquid did okay as an NA team. But if you want to know how bad the LCS region is,
if I were to say Cloud9 were to finish first or second in the LCS standings, I think that Cloud9 should be this
PSG Talon.
And I believe, given how bad the T1 is, again, more on that later,
I think Cloud9 could beat T1. You see, that's how bad the LCS is right now. That Cloud9, with all their incredible rosters, cannot make it. And we get a
fraudulent FlyQuest team who decided to bench their mid laner Jensen, and a Team Liquid team who just have
no business winning the LCS. And, did fine, but it's just what are you going to do about it? Now, the onus on the community just saying that if Cloud9 cannot win LCS, then the NA is just doomed. People, your viewership is not as good. Your competitiveness is fine, but unless Cloud9 win LCS, then what is the point anymore? It's the same thing with the LEC, and we'll get to LEC later, that if G2 doesn't win LEC, then the whole entire region is a failure. And that is true for the LCS. If Cloud9 cannot win LCS, then the whole region is a failure. Which is not to discount the many players on certain teams, like the Team Liquids or the FlyQuest. I'm not discounting them, but by community standards, by the way that the eye test and all that kind of stuff, if Cloud9 cannot win LCS, then what's the point anymore? What is the absolute point of watching this? Oh yes, let's just do best of threes in a single round robin format. That's a good idea. Not a bad idea from the format standpoint, but from a competitive standpoint, it's are we sure? Are we absolutely sure? So I think Team Liquid did fine for a North American team as usual. Top Esports. Oh god, Top Esports from the very first game, from the very first loss against Team Liquid, was pretty much the most shaky team in all of MSI.
I feel like of all the Asian teams that came through,
I can just rank the Asian teams going into the tournament. And I have Gen G versus BLG as 1 and 2, easily. T1 as third, and Top Esports as the fourth best team.
Which is not to disrespect like 369, TN, Jackie Love, and Mako, but Cream has been
Up and down in the tournament, but listen, I'm gonna give him a slack because he was a rookie. This is his first international tournament, so I'll give him some slack.
But I expect better from 369. I expect better from Jackie Love. I expect better from Mako. And for them to get absolutely fisted by G2 Esports of all teams, and again, we'll get to G2 later.
It just showcases that, I don't know, Top Esports look pretty meh in the tournament. Like they look pretty meh in the entire tournament. They were fine in some games.
They did well against Gen G to come back, but that was just it. I mean, Gen G was a better team overall, and then it was Top Esports, you know,
doing some incredible comebacks. It was Gen G not doing well, of course, in some other parts, and it led to Top Esports getting a comeback, but that was only it. That was the only time I could feel like Top Esports did
something in this tournament, but other than that, they did fine against Team Liquid. But listen, it's NA. What do you expect to do?
You're supposed to beat NA. If you don't beat NA, you're the biggest embarrassment ever. Points, full stop. And I feel like Top Esports have a pretty shaky tournament in overall. They were shaky in the play-ins. They were shaky in the opening matchups, of course. Have Team Liquid would have done better. They could have won like at least a game or two against Top Esports. They were shaky against Gen G and had to come back and actually make this a competitive series. Don't let the 3-2 scoreline fool you. It was a little bit of a Gen G kind of throw, of course, in that 5-game series. And then they look absolutely crap against G2. So overall, I feel like Top Esports just not looking like their, pun intended, top selves. And I feel like they need a little bit of soul searching.
I think the team is fine. I think, 369 and Cream, if he gets more experience,
have to deepen his champion pool, I guess. I think he'll be fine. I think this Top Esports team is pretty much potentially wise. But you look at JDG and Weibo improving, and LNG has to improve, of course. And of course, you have to look at the new format that the LPL is right now. And I just don't know if Top Esports can be good enough to even make, like, Worlds. Now, the good news about it is because of BLG and Gen G performances, the LPL and LCK, as per usual, get the 4 initial slots for Worlds. So at least you can say that, okay, if Top Esports did well, they can actually qualify for Worlds. But the competitiveness of the LPL just makes you feel otherwise. So I just feel like, Top Esports have a lot of work to do. They have a really lot of work to do in the LPL summer to do something.
Let's talk about G2 Esports. Now, I will say this right now as an EU fan,
that G2 doing well in the MSI just makes me feel a little bit hopeful for EU, but feel a lot scared for LEC fans. Because when you see G2 actually perform well in the MSI, you know the problem is not like G2 isn't a problem, it's the entire LEC is the problem.
Like, look at Fnatic. Fnatic lost to Team Liquid. Fnatic lost to Team Liquid. Like, what are Fnatic's best wins in the tournament? Oh, you beat a GAM Esports who just lost some of his members to match fixing. Oh, you put up some decent effort against Gen G, probably the best team in the world right now. Spoiler alert, later on. Oh, look, you lost to APA and Impact and
Core JJ and Team Liquid. Like, that doesn't convince me.
But when I see G2, I just feel like, listen, I'm going to say this right now.
G2 T1 is probably my favorite matchup of MSI right now. And I feel like G2 does something that no other Western teams have ever done. It's that it plays their own crap. It doesn't play the meta. And listen, here's the thing. Here's my thing to all you European fans who are watching this right now and are listening. If G2 plays the meta, and let's be honest, if G2 plays the meta, G2 could be like an 8th place team at best. They could be 8th place. If G2 would play the meta, they could have lost so many games and look uninspired.
And if G2 would have played the meta, they wouldn't make the T1 series competitive. They would have clapped PSG Talon and they would have clapped Top Esports.
And I feel like Caps have a great performance. Mickey X on the Poppy looks absolutely good. Everybody else is meh. I think the one and only problem is Hans Sama. And I think Hans Sama has been pretty good, but he's just looked absolutely shaky, especially that game 5 against
T1. When he was building a 3 kill jinx
and cannot have LDR and got charmed by Faker, and that was it. And I feel like Hassam is a good player, and don't get me wrong, he's one of the best. He's probably one of the best ADCs ever. But he's just lack of aggression and lack of things is kind of cost them games. But listen, G2 did fine. They competed with T1, which is absolutely amazing and surprising to me, of course. They competed with T1. And, of course, they beat PSG Talon, who managed to make BLG game look close. And then beat Top Esports. And I just like, okay, pull 3-0s, and we beat an LPL team. It's like, okay, we have a chance. And we faced T1 again. Now, going into the T1 series, I was convincing myself that G2 should win this series, but I'm going to say 60-40 in favor of T1. That's my initial thought process. Going into that T1 series, I was thinking to myself, G2 should win this series, but I will not. But they have to like play the same way as their initial series, of course. And they don't have. And listen, the whole pressure of like we're favorites to beat T1. It's like no. If you're facing T1, you should always be underdogs. Ask Gen G Esports 4 times over. They've been on. Listen. Gen G won all the titles, but I can bet you $1 that Gen G seen Faker, and it's like, oh my god, we're the underdogs. It doesn't matter how bad Faker is right now in terms of like playstyle, and we'll get to that later. It doesn't matter. If you see Faker on that team, you're instantly the underdogs. But because of how shaky T1 throughout the MSI tournament is, I was thinking to myself, I was waking up and I was thinking to myself, holy cow, we can beat this team. If we can play the same style and we can do well, we can beat this team. And what do I get for that? What do I get for being hopeful? What do I get to being hopeful for a G2 team to beat T1? You get 3-0'd. You get 3 effing 0'd. Like, look at game 3. Caps was our win condition. And then the fact that he like, isolated on the mid lane and then absolutely get blasted. It just like, oh my god, it just deflates. It is just so deflated. Like, listen, I never expected G2 to be like the BLGs and the Gen Gs of the world. But listen, this is a weak T1 team. This is the weakest T1 team I've ever seen since the Faker injury. And I was thinking to myself, okay, listen, if you can't beat T1, at least make it competitive. You can't even make it competitive. You got 3-0'd by the worst T1 team ever. Like, I'm mad. But again, listen, I don't think it takes away from what G2 has done in this MSI tournament. They have done well and they have improved, of course. But it just makes you feel like a top 3 would have been better. We could have been top 3 at minimum, and it would have been fine. Top 4 is fine, and I don't wrong them, but top 3 it was right there. It was right there. Now, I'm not saying they would have won the series, but they could have been more competitive. You lost 3-0 to a horrible T1 team. That's not competitiveness. And the fact that G2 are making MSI look good, it just speaks of how bad the LEC is right now. Now, listen. Now, we all know the LEC is going to have 3 teams at Worlds. I know G2 can make it to Worlds. I think G2 are far away the best team in LEC. But who are my other 2 teams? Fnatic sometimes? And then you have to pick I don't know, Mad Lions, Vitality, or K-Corp. Oh no, wait a minute, their fans are absolutely douchebags. Oh no, I'm not picking K-Corp, no way. K-Corp's fans are absolutely atrocious. So I have to pick I don't know, Vitality or BDS or Heretics. So you're telling me that I have to have that my fate in LEC right now is picking on G2 Esports and a semi-good Fnatic team and one of the crappiest teams in BDS, Mad Lions, and Heretics. Like, that's not gonna make LEC That's gonna make LEC hopeful. Like, right now, you are relying on G2 Esports to do well internationally, or the entire region is a failure. And even G2 fans have to feel bad. Even G2 have to feel bad. Listen, say only one about Roman, the general manager of the team, when he put up the script numbers on certain teams in the LEC, it makes you feel bad if you're the LEC right now. When G2 are destroying virtually everybody on script, it makes you feel bad as an LEC guy that feels like G2 are better than everybody else and nobody can compete. Nobody can compete. It just feels bad. If you're an LEC fan who has been watching the LEC for years, And you see the following: quick shot not there, production staff being cut, casters not doing much other than like casting and not doing co-streaming and all that kind of stuff. And seeing the competition in the LEC, it feels like G2 and nobody else, kind of like PSG and League 1, or in the current scheme, Manchester City and Premier League. What the hell are you gonna do? Why you have to bother watching this? Now, here's the thing: if you want to watch LEC, be my guest, but I'm not sure you can watch this LEC now. Akeem, but Gen G is taking over the LCK. Yeah, but at least Gen G, but at least T1 made them sweat for it. Have you seen the LCK final series? That was the most epic LCK final series of all time. At least that was competitive. G2 is making this LEC so bad that the Fnatic series will get absolutely bummed. The LEC is just so bad right now. This is not a hatred to G2. This is just me venting my frustration about how bad the LEC is right now. And how incredible G2 is, that their 4th place at MSI just show how bad the LEC is right now. And how great G2 is. And I hope G2 can do well in LEC. But then again, the LEC is so bad right now that G2 can sleep through the regular season and still won the whole thing. That's how it is right now. But I think the problem is that G2 has to improve. I think it's not that G2 can win the LEC. It's that can G2 improve from their MSI performance? And can they do well at Worlds? Because let's remember, everybody, Worlds is in Europe this year. And the last time G2 was in Europe, we all know they made it to the finals and nearly won against FPX. So I want to see if G2 can improve well, especially in the LEC tournament. And in the season finals, of course. And if anybody wanted to think that the LEC format is the problem, you are making a sad mistake. You are just making a sad mistake. Like, look at K-Corp. They put in academy players. Why are we putting in academy players, man? Academy players not going to make the LEC look good. Perks is gone, man. I don't know, man. I'm just done. Listen, G2, fantastic. Maybe top 3 would have been great, but top 4 is fine. I think they did well. You're excellent. Keep doing your thing and do not listen to what the people say, okay? Caps, you're amazing, but that's just on a game 3, man. You need to wipe it out of your memory. But still a good showing. Still a good showing. Let's talk T1, everybody. Oh boy. Well, okay. I'm gonna say these words right now that it's gonna trigger a lot of people, mainly T1 fans, but I'm gonna say this right now. Faker had a bad tournament. Okay? Faker had the worst tournament in probably the last couple of years. Now, that doesn't mean he's washed. Okay? I do not hear about all these people saying, Faker is washed, everybody. Look at how he played. He just had a bad tournament. And by community perception, don't Faker had like the best LCK season ever? Not saying ever, but probably the best LCK series in the last several years. Faker did fine in the LCK. He's just that he had a bad MSI tournament. That's all. It's not diminishing his greatness, of course. And that's the thing about many fans in the post 2017 Faker era right now, is that people need to appreciate that Faker is not the same dominant guy he is before, but he's a great shot caller. He can be good sometimes, especially that Ruler Azir matchup, of course, and the charm on to Hans Selman at game 5, of course. He can do all of that, but the dying in solar lanes, the lack of aggression, the useless depth, it's kind of like, feel like he just looks bad. He's not washed, but he looks bad. And I hope he can recapture that form, you know. But I feel like right now this T1 team has just ran its course. So T1 in the last 2 years have won, let's just see, one undefeated LCK title and won one Worlds title. That's it. And if it wasn't for Kanavi Inton, they could have no Worlds titles and disband the whole team. The fact that the World Championship actually bought you sentimental value for that championship alone, that you decided to keep all those players, which is, hey, great, that's fine, but look at Gen G. Look at Hana Life Esports. They improved. They improved on all those teams, and they built. The fact that you're being so stagnated right now, it just feels like, listen, I do not want to see this roster ever again. I think this roster have already ran its expiration date. And the fact you've actually been outclassed by, of all people, Dylan Falco, it just makes you scream like, what are we doing right now? What are we doing? It's just bad. It's just so bad right now. And I feel like T1 are good enough to make it to Worlds, but I'm not sure they're like the favorites to win the whole championship. Maybe I'll be wrong again. I'll be proven wrong so many times. But I just don't see this T1 looking great. I mean, listen, Gumiyoshi did okay, I guess. Zeus did fine. I think Zeus did okay, of course, in some of the matches. But it just feels like T1 is just feel like they have this roster 1 year too late instead of 1 year too early. They could have just done like DRX, won the World's title, and then blow it up afterwards. It will suck for T1 fans, but you know what? Better than nothing, I guess. And now you just hold on to this roster too soon, and it just looked like a third best team at worst. And it just feels like this team is never going to improve. And they're fine, but even Kyrgia's not even good. Even Kyrgia's my favorite support right now, and even he's not even doing well. So it's just like the fan sentiment of like, you know, Faker is washed does not, you know, compute with me that he has a bad tournament. But it just symbolizes that this T1 team just looks shaky at best and just doesn't feel like a good team anymore. They could just blow up after Worlds. They could have just done it after Worlds and blow up this whole team. They could just make some changes. They could have Viper on this team. They could have a better jungler. They could have a better top laner. They could have all these things. They could have... Listen, they have all the Comcast money in the world. And by the way, T1 fans, your team is owned by the Philadelphia version of Comcast, who made Sky Sports and all those kind of stuff, and NBC, they make the Premier League look cool. You have all that Comcast money, and it yield you one world title. Joe Marsh, you absolute failure, man. Like, one world title with all that Comcast money? If I had the Comcast money, I would have won like 3 Premier League titles. But I can't. It's bad. It's the worst T1 roster in probably history because of all the hype and expectations, all the finals they made, but it only made to 1 finals and they won, and then that's it. They can even win LCK. They can even win more than one LCK final. Even when some of them are the favorites. And then this result in the MSI pretty much sums it up that, of course, you lost to BLG with an improving team with Knight on their squad. And he's thirsty for revenge, and he did. And T1 looks absolutely bad. In fact, they're trying to G2, you know, BLG. Like, look at the draft in that game. Zach Mid? Faker never... This is Faker's first Zach Mid game. Let's see how that worked out. It worked out poorly, guys. It worked out absolutely poorly. Oh, my lord. We're grasping straws here. Now, listen. Here's the thing I'm going to say to all you T1 fans who may not be listening to me or may not like this video, but I'm going to say this just right now. You better enjoy Faker at the absolute height of his powers right now. And I mean height of his powers. Not at absolute peak, but the height of his powers. Enjoyed all the Hall of Fame skins, the Ari skins, the money, the goodness of Faker. Because here's the thing, T1. The day that Faker is gone is probably the day that T1 is going to fall off a cliff. The absolute cliff. And I have seen what T1 is capable of without Faker and Poby in the lineup. It does not look great. And if you cannot win with Faker in the lineup, then what's the point of T1 without Faker right now? I think if you're T1 right now, you should think about like what are you gonna do with this squad next year and what changes you have to make. Like for this team to only win 1 world title, and the fact you're bombed out in the last 2 MSIs, which, by the way, I'm gonna say this, best MSI tournament, not saying best MSI tournament ever, but probably best MSI tournament for like unexpected moments, incredible feats, and all this kind of stuff. The fact you can't even win this format of the MSI right now just speaks of how bad your team is, and it just speaks to like the failures that T1 has. I cannot wait for the documentary to be placed and how bad this T1 is and so much of the failed opportunities they have. But that's on them. That's on the ownership. That's on the coach. That's on like some of the players. The pressure of winning at T1, it's like Caitlin Clark coming to Indiana Fever and trying to make the Indian favorite, like the best team, and like, no, it won't. It won't magically disappear. It won't magically appear. It's gonna take time. And T1 had so much time better than anybody else. In fact, they and G2 are the only two teams that have not changed their rosters last year. And one team has improved, the other kind of digressed. So if T1 looked like a digressing team, then maybe you should just like, you know, make some changes. Oh wait, I forgot, LCK does not make changes that much. Yeah, I guess you're stuck with this team for a while, so ra-dee-da. Now let's look at the two teams that I think by many community is the two best teams in the world. And we got two really good series. Yes, they don't get to game 5s, but I said they were two good series. And Gen.G deserve their flowers. They deserve their flowers. Trophy deserves his flowers. Now we're gonna look at the upper bracket final. The upper bracket final was kind of fine. BLG dominated the first game, and then Gen.G actually dominated. But I'm gonna look at the finals themselves. Also, by the way, if you notice, the casting duos is Dragos and Chronicle with Vedios, and then Dragos and Chronicle with Kobe in the last two finals. Why, they don't have the LCK muscle to even do the finals? Okay, then fine, Riot, fine. Okay, so the finals themselves was weirdly entertaining. Like, weirdly entertaining standpoint. Like, it's not my favorite MSI finals, but it kind of feels weirdly entertaining. Let's just look at the first game. So let me just look at the first game. And the first game was by many community perception and by Monte Cristo's, of course. By the way, go watch the GG Monte Cristo reaction to it. This was a BLG game. This was supposed to be a BLG win. Like, that first game was supposed to be like a BLG win. Like, Ben was doing well on TF. Knight, but Canyon was scaling. Trophy was doing nothing, of course, but the scaling of Canyon on this Cartus just really shows. He got 6, 2, and 6, of course. Pez did okay with the 13 assists. This was supposed to be a BLG win, but instead, like, they kind of threw the game a bit. And elect Gen.G to stack, to, you know, give Cartus some, like power, and of course, haven't finished dev cap. Like, BLG should have won this series, won this game outright. And then it bleeds into game 2, which is like, Gen.G stumped them. It was a 39-minute game. Do not look at the 39 game. Now people might be saying, Pez have, oh my god, 28 kills and a pentakill. This is amazing. But if you look at this game even closer, that was the hands with all the hooks. Like, I look at the Monte Cristo video and I counted like 20 hooks that Lehans did. 20 hooks. This is not all pairs, guys. Lehans did incredibly well. I think Lehans probably have a decent tournament, of course. But Pez did fine, 28 kills, but it's more like Lehans doing all the hard work more than Pez. Pez is fine, I guess. But the sport deserves more, of course. Game 3 was a 40-minute game, of course. The game was fine, but Shun Ninli was actually pretty decent. Ben had the one incredible play when it comes to the jungle shield, when it kind of like flash stun into one of the players and actually win out. It was a really tight game. It was really, really tight. It was going back and forth. It was kind of like, oh, Gen.G might sweep this time, but oh, BLG might come back, and then, you know, BLG had that one incredible fight and didn't win. So that was a really weird game, of course. That was really weird. And then game 4 was kind of like the absolute ultimate weirdness. Like, this was absolutely weird. Like, I don't know how do you describe this game. Like, there were some crazy moments. Like, Shun stealing Gen.G was in control the entire game until Shun steal the Baron, and it was kind of like crazy chaos. With the bot lane turret going down and the bot lane emitter going down, it was kind of like, oh, maybe BLG can backdoor this and probably win, but so much resistances, of course, with Gen.G, you know, especially with Keen's Rumble, of course, doing some damage, of course. And it was a really nervy 47-minute game. It was a really nervy 47-minute game. It was Gen.G overcome in 1. So I have to say, listen, this is not, it was a weird finals, but it was a good finals after all. Hey, let's be honest, it was way better than the Premier League final day. It was way better than the Premier League final day. In fact, it was way better than the Impola race that I watched, that some people watched, but it was boring until the last 10 laps. So for me, I feel like in terms of entertaining family, I think the MSI is 1, the Premier League Final Day is 2, and the Impola race is 3. For in terms of like morning viewing, of course. So that's my 2 cents, of course. And Gen G are worthy winners of this. For Chovy and all these, for Chovy, man, Chovy has been with like League of Legends, play League of Legends for so long. He's 23 years old, which in esports terms is like really old. He has really been with Griffin, DRX, HLE, and then Gen G Esports for some time. So the fact that he has been there for like 6 years, won all these awards, and have never even achieved an international event to be won, for him to do this, and of course qualify for Worlds, mind you, it's a huge achievement for them. It's a huge achievement for them. I think, Gen G deserve this title. I think Gen G are probably the best team in the world right now, and I feel like right now, I'm going to say these words, Gen G should probably go for the Grand Slam right now. They should go for the Golden Road. Right now, they're the favorites for the LCK. I think T1 are kind of like stagnated, of course. They're okay, but they're not going to be good enough to beat Gen G. I think Honda Live Esports are the closest challenges to it, but we can see if they can improve around Viper, of course. I think Gen G are like far and away the best LCK team. So I can say that with confidence that Gen G should win LCK. Worlds, of course, it's a different story. Like, that will be the be and all end all. If Gen G win Worlds, then all arguments are done. All arguments are done. I think Worlds right now is going to be a different kettle of fish with a different format. Thank you, Riot. But that is going to be a different kettle of fish. And if Gen G pull this off and Chovy wins a world title, then that cements his legacy forever. That cements his legacy forever. And people will look at differently for Chovy, of course. Just like the same way with Xander Shoffley never winning a major, all those top 15 finishes and all kind of stuff, and then finally win a major. Like, look at the last hole. Holy cow! It's gonna be the same thing with Chovy. Like, all these things of like he's the best mid laner ever beside Faker, but never won Worlds. He won an international tournament, and it's the best international tournament by many people in terms of format and competitiveness. So at least he got that going. But now, of course, it's Worlds that is going to be worked at. And listen, Gen G already qualified for Worlds, so they have nothing to worry about. It's like, can you win LCK and can you win Worlds? That's the only 2 questions, and I think they can do it. And then I think they can do it with Canyon having a good performance. Keen was pretty good, especially on Cassante. I think Paz and Lahans was really good. Paz is kind of like, he's fine, but he's just not decent enough. Like, maybe we could just say, let's just cut some slack. He's a rookie. He's been there for 3 years, guys. He's been there for 3 years. He's been like for 3 years. Not saying 3 years, but you just get my point. He's been there longer than enough. He should know better. So I think Paz is probably my only issue with Gen G, but overall, I feel like Gen G are the best team in the world right now. They've been really good in the LCK for that long, and they just need an international tournament to finally get the monkey off their backs, of course. And they did. 7 long years since the LCK won, and it's not T1 who wins it. Can you believe it? And it's Gen G who's for so many years have been such a good team with all these good players, but have never done well internationally. And now they did, and for that I said hallelujah and amen to the Church of Chovy, I guess. BLG, one last word on BLG. I think they did go okay. I think Ben in that incredible series against T1 was probably my best player in the tournament. So if I were to make a team of the tournament, if I'm going to make my 5 players for the MSI tournament, I will put, let's just think carefully, Akeem. I'm not going to trigger a lot of people. I would put Ben as my top laner, Caps as my mid laner because he performed well. Let's go jungle, I guess. Jungle is... Maybe I'll put Shun in my jungle, but I'm not sure. Maybe Tian. I think Tian did okay, and then Tian did what Int and Tian did. So I put Tian in my... And for my bot lane, I feel like the bot lane of Lahans and maybe Elk. I put Lahans and Elk. So I have Bin, I have Tian, I have Caps, I have Elk and Lahans. So those are my team of MSI, of course. My all team MSI, of course. If you don't like the comments, please think otherwise and comment down below, of course. But I think BLG did okay. I mean, they're the second best team for a reason. They're one of the two best teams. They've dominated the LPL. They're going to be okay. They're good enough to make it to Worlds. I think they're good enough to make it to Worlds. But, of course, the LPL is more competitive, so we'll find out. But I think BLG did fine. But the last two games of Gen G, the last two series against Gen G, and the fact they managed to barely lose to T1, it kind of feels like BLG did okay. And the fact they're the second best team is just like, alright, they're the second best team besides Gen G. What are they going to do? But I feel like Shun has not particularly performed well, I guess. Knight has not looking good. And this is a world champion player, mind you. So it makes you feel like BLG are okay for a second best team. I mean, listen, we got the two best teams in the finals with the two best mid laners we get to see twice in MSI. So we got what we wanted. We got what we wanted. And you know what? That's fine. So onwards and upward for BLG. I think BLG are good enough to compete at Worlds. So overall, this tournament have been pretty good. I said we got the teams that nobody expected them to do well. PSG did well, of course. Gam Esports upset Loud Esports with so many match fixing players, of course. Gam Esports did okay. And you got G2 did perform really well. BLG and Gen G, my two favorite teams, we get to see Knight and Trophy twice over. And that's great for League of Legends fans after so many years of Riot blue balling us every time. The fact we get to see these two teams and get to see them in the finals, it's incredible. And it was a good competitive series, even though it doesn't go 5 games. It was a good competitive series. So I said for me, this is probably my favorite MSI tournament of all. Like, London was fine, but I feel like in terms of unexpectedness, in terms of competitiveness, in terms of storylines, I think we get probably the best MSI we have right now. And I hope next year they can please keep the format. Please. I want this format to be kept for the next 5 years. And if it doesn't work out, maybe change the format to GSL, I guess. But I like this format. I like the double elimination. Please give me more of it. So that should do it for the MSI version of the coverage. Now, Akeem, I think we should end this video, right? Oh, ladies and gentlemen, Akeem, we are going to do some distressing news about the League of Legends and all that kind of stuff. So as we all know, there is something going on called the ESWC. Now, in case anybody don't know the ESWC, it is the Esports World Cup funded by the people in the Far East, in the Arabics. I'm not gonna say who they are. I think everybody knows who they are, but I'm not gonna say that because I'm gonna get bopped. So I'm not gonna go deep into this. I'm not gonna go dive deep into this because let me just tell you something. The only person who watches something like politics is my father, of course, who watches CNN all the time. But unlike me, I'm not into that political bullcrap right now. We are seeing right now in the world right now with Israel, Hamas, and the whole presidential election coming in. I'm not that kind of person who can dive deep into politics. And this is not my channel to do it. This is not the channel for political stings. So yeah, you're not going to get any political thing. But what I am going to say about the ESWC right now is that this is, without a doubt, the saddest rendition of esports I've ever seen. Now, I'm going to give you my 2 cents of what esports was at the time and see if I can piggyback on it. Esports was never supposed to be bigger than the NFL. Like, look at NFL right now. They're getting owned by Netflix of all people. Netflix. Like, okay then. It's never bigger than it's never going to be bigger than the MLB. It's never going to be bigger than the NBA. It's not even bigger than wrestling right now. WWE, by the way, mind you. And, like, the thing is about this whole thing is that look at the teams that are participating in it. So, I'm just going to showcase a little story from HLTV.com. This is a Counter-Strike. This is, by the way, a Counter-Strike thing. So let me just see where it will go. Blah, 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 blah. There's supposed to be like news about
the teams that are joining. So, but let me just see. Of course, just give me it. Just give me an upgrade. Just give me it. Just give me 1 sec. Just give me 1 sec. Oh, maybe I just type it in. Let me just type it in, of course. Let me just type it in. Just type it in. Oh, okay. Maybe I don't have it right now. Let me just give me a couple of minutes. 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 Okay. Yes. From May 6th, 2024. And that's at 201 comments. Whew. So, if you know, so let me just tell you the teams that are joining this beautiful rendition of the Esports World Cup Foundation Club Support Program. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you're about to get served. Cloud9, Blacklist International, FaZe Clan Fnatic, Furia G2, Gamer Gladiators, Common Corp, Gen G, Guild, Koi, OG, NRG, Weibo Gaming T1, Talon, Twisted Minds, Navi, Team Secret, Team Vitality, TSM, LGD, Loud, Team Liquid, Tundra, Falcons, Virtus Pro, Space Station, Thieves, and Ninjas Pajamas. So, congratulations guys, you're now joining a elite club of a group of people that are doing really bad stuff, and you're making all the money in the world. This is a dark time in the esports world. I mean, this is a really dark time in the esports world. Like, look at the teams. FaZe Clan, who are broke as heck, are going to join this. G2 are one of the best organizations ever, and they're like, okay, we're going to join them. We have the money. Team Liquid. Like, I heard a lot of hoopla about the Team Liquid Dota team having to, like, apologize and all the kind of stuff, and they get benefits, of course. And now you're going to join? Cloud9? You too? Like, this reminds me of, anybody knows Chinatown, with the Jack Nicklaus movie, Chinatown, which is one of my favorite, like, I don't know, film noir mysteries, of course, if you like film noir, of course. And they have the classic line, one of the classic lines in all the movies, right at the end, and just saying, forget it, Jake, it's Chinatown. And that is all, and that's my point in esports right now. Forget it, Akeem, it's esports. Forget it, Akeem, it's the Saudis. Forget it, Akeem, it's everything we are going wrong right now. Like, listen, I just saw Manchester City won their 4th Premier League title in a row. And as a Manchester United fan, it irks me. Now, the hatred is not Manchester City. I don't hate Manchester City, the players, of course. I hate Manchester City, the fact that it's owned by the people in by the Arabics, of course. I hate the fact that this is the club is winning because of that. And now it makes the Premier League look absolutely boring. Now, let me just ask you something. Take away Jurgen Klopp's 2020 Premier League season, and Manchester City would have won like seven titles in a row. They could have won like 7 titles in a row. And people do not even give a damn about the Premier League anymore. It's the same thing, nobody gives a damn about the Bundesliga or the League. It's like everybody knows who's going to win the Premier League season from the moment the fixtures came in. Because of the bankroll they have right now. And it's the same thing with the Esports World Cup thing. Like, I know many people, like, personalities are liking this, teams are liking this, all kind of stuff. Now, if you want more in depth, I will link into the description Richard Lewis is, who I know many people will say Richard Lewis is a bum, but the guy knows esports like the back of his hand, and he's done really good journalistic work. So please, maybe subscribe to his channel, I guess, and maybe like watch the video if you care, and maybe go to his Substack if you care, of course. But as a human being, like, I did some not nice things, but I never, be lower some come to this. Like, I am sorry, man. It's a sad day for esports, man. And it's a sad day for everybody else. Like, listen, esports was never supposed to be the biggest thing ever. But the way people are treating esports right now, getting the cash for some of the VC people and spending all the money and not treating it like an investment, like grow your own business, build on something kind of thing. But no, we wanted to be like the rich clubs. We wanted to be like, we don't want to be like ants. We don't want to be like those lower clubs, everybody. We want to be rich. We want to be high in society, all that kind of stuff. And it saddens me that we are going to do this for like the rest of our lives. It's pathetic.
TSM is in it. TSM. What is this? And 100 Thieves, like, oh my god, 100 Thieves. Like, 100 Thieves is a clothing product right now. They got sponsors like AT&T and all this other stuff, but it's just like, nah, it's not enough. It's not enough. Like, can you be satisfied for once? Can every single esports club be satisfied with the money they have, with the success they have? Like, Nip, oh my god, Nip, you're a disgrace. You're an absolute disgrace. From the most incredible Counter-Strike team in all the world with Forest and Get Right and all that good stuff to being a disgrace. Now you're in the Saudi money. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Now I'm not going to criticize T1 or Gen G. I don't think T1 or Gen G fans care about these kind of stuff. They're Koreans or Chinese teams. I don't think they care about this that much. Players going to play. I got no problem with that. That's the issue right now. That's the issue that I have right now. That's my issue. It's not, I'm not criticizing the players for doing this. I'm not gonna criticize like Minta, the League of Legends Royal Remix Rumble champion, of course. I think I know him, of course. I'm not gonna criticize him for joining Fnatic. I'm not gonna criticize him. I'm not gonna criticize G2 fans to go to Saudi Arabia. I'm criticizing that I'm worried about their safety. I'm worried about their live experience. I'm worried about everybody else. I'm worried, man. I'm worried for these. I'm worried for them. I'm worried for the personalities as well. I'm worried for the casters. I'm worried for the production people. I'm worried about everybody else. And this is the thing that I'm worried about right now. We are at the point right now that esports is going to take place in the Arabics right now. You're going to see Riyadh hosting MSI. You're going to see Riyadh hosting Worlds. You're going to see Riyadh hosting LEC, for God's sakes. I mean, listen. They're taking over your football teams. They're taking over your golf. They're making golf look an absolute mess right now. By the way, they have the second member of the PGA policy board being resigned. Thanks a lot. They took over your Formula 1. Even meddling with your Formula 1. They make boxing look cool. And yes, I watched the Fury and Usyk fight. It was kind of cool. It was a split decision. Usyk won. And I really want to see a rematch. But let's do it in Vegas, please. They already took it over everything to the point of like exhaustion and tiredness that you have absolutely no choice but to just watch their crap and say nothing. My mom always said, if you can't say anything nice about it, don't say nothing at all. And that's where we are right now. It's that people do not have any balls to say anything other than like trusted journalists or small YouTube community persons like me. It's gonna take the little guys to stand up to this. Why can players protest about this? Why can we have like a protest about this certain stuff? Why can players protest? Why can fans protest about it? I mean, at least the Big Six Super Club fans protest about it. It's not gonna make a difference, but at least they have hearts, for God's sake. No, these esports teams don't have hearts. They have no heart. G2 have no heart. They have no heart at all. They just sell their souls to the rivers of blood and severed heads. That's where we are right now. And if you care about this, I ain't blaming you. I ain't blaming you one bit. And if you're thinking to yourself, hey, maybe the NBA and NFL should not do it. Oh, wait a minute, Akeem. Wait a minute. It's gonna happen, guys. The NFL and NBA will have games in that country, and you're gonna see a lot of reaction, a lot of noise, but at the same time, you're gonna see like nothing. Once the games are played, silence. Absolutely silence. Like even tennis right now. Tennis is going to have tournaments in Riyadh, of course. They already have tournaments in Riyadh, but they have a women's championship matchup in Riyadh. And they're going to have nothing to say about it. And it's also the same thing that Sideshow said about they're paying with silence, of course. It's the same thing. They're paying your money for silence. They're just paying you to shut the F up. I'll give you, it's a meme of like, I'm giving you like $50 to just be quiet. Money talks, bullshit, bullcrap walks, that's what they say. And now you're thinking to yourself, Akeem, why is this above League of Legends? Because, hello everybody, it's on the Leaguepedia website. Yeah, this thing, it's on the Leaguepedia website and it involves League of Legends. So, yeah, that's where we are right now. That is the absolute horrible thing. Listen, I remember back then when esports were like pure. Like we don't care about money. We care about the players and the fans and all this kind of stuff. Now, maybe I am to blame, of course, for the downfall of it, but I'm not the only one. I just came into the esports thing later than usual. I came in like 2019, all that kind of stuff, and I came into this news thing. But as more and more and more of these disgusting things happen in esports, the more I just feel like, Christ almighty, what is the point of watching esports anymore? It's the same thing of watching the Premier League anymore. What is the point of watching Premier League anymore? What's the point of watching esports anymore? What's the point of watching everything when the country that has been doing horrible bad things are getting all the money in the world and we're getting away with it? It's so horrible. But hey, at least we got ESL being involved, so that's fantastic. Oh what? Wait, they took Overwatch League as well? And Scope of Fall, you play Monopoly Go, right? Oh, do you know that company is actually owned by those people in the East? You don't know? You don't know that Monopoly Go is owned by the people in the East? Alright then, cool. You just keep on rolling in your Monopoly Go and stuff. Now, listen, here's the thing. I play a game that is owned by the Chinese government. And, okay, fine. Many people are playing, like, a game that is owned by the Chinese. Fine. I'll put my hands up and say, hey, listen, I play a game involved with the Chinese, but listen, I have no knowledge about Chinese involvement, and maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. And listen, I play TFT as well, and they're owned by the Saudis, and so, not Saudi, but they're owned by China, of course, Tencent in China. So I put my hands up and say, okay, listen, Akeem, you say all these things, and yet you play the game. Maybe you're a hypocrite as well, and maybe I'm a hypocrite. Maybe I'm a hypocrite, of course. But fine. But I would never stoop. But here's the thing. At least I have a good heart sometimes. At least I never stoop low and say anything bad about the certain things. I shut my mouth and just don't care. Just don't care. And that's it. And that's where we are right now. We are at the point that people like, we just don't care anymore. But I just wanted to share this little message. Not only with his advertised video, but with his whole message about this. I want this to be, I'm not saying shared with everybody, but I want this to be shared with, I'm going to share this video and my little bit of rant in my clip. I'm going to share this video and share this to Monte Cristo, to Thorin, to Richard Lewis, and most of the Riot Games people. And tell them that what you're doing right now is wrong. And if you don't care about it, you're gonna be even more wrong. And what you have done is poison the esports that has already been poisoned already. Esports don't have to be like the MLB or the NFL or all that kind of stuff. It's supposed to be like a niche thing, like rugby or tennis or all that kind of stuff. But the way that esports have been doing this right now, it just makes this niche thing feels like a geopolitical thing, a geopolitical tool that we use. And it alienates the fans, and it alienates me, of course. But if you want to do it, fine. I don't care. I don't care anymore. We're at the point of like, we don't give a damn anymore. We just don't give a damn. Oh, Donald Trump is going to be elected president. We don't care anymore. We just don't care. We just don't care. You don't care. And maybe you don't care about this video anymore. And this video is going to end soon, and maybe you don't care, but I do care. I do care about esports. I want to see esports grow a little bit. But these are the things that makes people want to just quit esports altogether. Don't give a damn about it, of course. So, in this video, and listen, I know this is like a long video, of course, but it's just like talking about MSI and how great MSI is and how great this whole thing is and how the players and the teams are just like a livelihood. And seeing all the Esports World Cup, it just makes you feel like, if you are a player of League of Legends, why can nobody just talk about it? Why can nobody just stand up and speak about it? Like, yeah, you might get in trouble, sure, but what are the worst things you've ever done? Why can casters even speak about it? Why can casters and media personalities just stand up for this? Because at this point, they just realize they have no money, they have no other job like this, and they don't even care anymore. They just want to work. They just don't want to work. They just want to work. And I feel sad for the casters who just like, they could have been like co-streamers. They could have been like at least co-streamers. They could have just do a co-streaming job and make more money than they have. They could have just have a lucky job and be vocal about it, of course. They could have just done the co-streaming and be vocal about it. Now, they don't have to say anything about it, but just speaking out about it just makes sense. Like, we're at the point right now that we have to rely on Richard Lewis to be the only source of reason. And James Sponge, by the way. Shout out to him. We have to rely on Richard Lewis and James Sponge to be the voice of reasons. And that's not good, Chief. That's not good at all. And I'm gonna say this right now. I'm gonna say this to Richard Lewis right now. And if he hears me, and if he hears me in my channel, and I subscribe to him, and I'm on his Twitter right now. I'm probably gonna post this video on his page. I'm gonna say this right now. Richard Lewis, you are the best damn journalist in all of esports, and you should deserve better than everything else. You deserve better. You have earned all this status, and you deserve better by everybody in the esports community. All the haters that is all around you, F them. F those haters. You are the hardest working motherfucker I have seen by watching the channel, by being truthful, by being honest about it. And I'm not saying many people will follow you. Not everybody can follow you, but I will die for you. I will run a brick wall for you if I have to. Not probably a brick, not a concrete wall, of course. But I will run a brick wall for you if I have to. And maybe I can do an interview for you. Listen, here's the thing. I want to interview Richard Lewis. I want to talk with Richard Lewis one-on-one to talk about, my views of esports as a fan. As a fan of the esports. I'm going to come here as a fan of esports. No team ownership, no crap, just talk about, like, one-on-one, talk about what's going on in esports and all that kind of stuff. Have a talk. I will talk to Thor, maybe Monte Cristo, of course. I would like to have a 4 Horsemen episode with all these 3 guys and discuss about the esports talk. I'll do 3 hours, of course. My video right now is like almost an hour long. I can do like 2 or 3 hours if I can. I can listen. I know I'm a small channel, but I can listen and I can talk about these situations. I read some stories. I learned about these things, so maybe I could do it a little bit. I may not have no more knowledge than you guys, but I can talk about it. So that's what I want. And if I don't get it, fine. I'm almost 23. I'm almost 20. I'm almost I'm almost 26 years old right now, and I have time. Maybe not much time, but I have time. I can wait. I'll be a patient person if I have to. Maybe not patient with my club right now, but I can be patient if I have to. So, yeah. So there we go. There's my 2 cents about MSI and the sad reality of the League of Legends and Esports World Space in the form of the Esports World Cup. If you like this channel, please subscribe and have the rest of your week. And God bless you. And goodbye.